Alright, today we're working on an 02 PT Cruiser. We need to replace the rack and pinion setup, which went bad due to a faulty pump, which was leaking and then refilled with the wrong fluid, which caused metal shavings to clog up probably a valve within the rack and causing this little line there to stay open, which was then filling up the bellows to the point where they would blow up like a balloon. In order to remove the rack, we have to remove the lower ball joints here, and we'll probably just replace this whole control arm because the bushings and the ball joints need to be replaced. And we already got a new setup here, so we might as well just finish the suspension. In order to get to that rack though, after the ball joints, we'll have to remove these body bolts here. There's two there. Oh wait, two there, sorry. And then there's one up higher on the well. See if I could get to it. There it is. And that's on both sides. And we'll have to remove this motor mount, lower motor mount, and hoist the engine up, probably from up top, because I only got one jack to let the frame down. And another thing I had to remove was the steering shaft. Most of them you do underneath the engine or in the engine bay, but on this particular one it would only disconnect from underneath the dash, so we'll have to do that way, which I already removed the bolt. You can see it right here on the floor. I don't want to get back underneath there. It's very crowded, but I tied up the steering wheel so it don't spin freely, which will mess up the clock spring inside here, and the airbags won't work, or the horn, or both. And that's what we're doing today. Alright, I dropped the frame. Here's the rack and pinion, goes along there. That's the steering shaft you have to disconnect from underneath the hood, underneath the dash. There's 4 bolts here, 2, 3, 4, and that'll allow the rack and pinion to come right off. Don't forget to disconnect your cooler here. You'll need that. That's just some clamps, no biggie. And then there's a hose right here you'd have to remove, unless you want to remove it from the power steering pump, which cause you a whole lot of problems. So it's best to remove it from right here. And then there's a couple plugs that you have to unplug. Right there, see that? Just take your time and you'll get it done. Oh yeah, another couple bolts on the lower control arm there. That'll replace the ball joints. See that? Horrible. It's not bad yet, but it's about to go. I can tell you that much. Oh wait, yeah, it's bad. Cooked. Let's see. And then there's these things under here that were cooked too. That's called your control arm bushings. Might as well replace all that while you're here. The bad control arm bushings. See that? Cooked. This one just fell out. Nothing left. Then you have to press it. Here's a comparison of the old rack versus the new rack. And it looks like they just deleted that line altogether. See that? That little line right there going from side to side. Guess it was just causing too much problems. See that? Deleted. That problem will no longer exist. Gotta switch a few things over, like the mounting bracket and the steering column, or steering shaft. And that'll be done. Just put it all back together. Same way it came apart. It's one of the parts you have to replace. Be sure to replace that O-ring. It doesn't know what I'm trying to focus on here. There we go. Replace that O-ring at the tip, or else you're going to have a leak. And you're going to have a bunch of problems once you put it all back together, because it's hard to get to. Make sure you get the right O-ring too. You have to replace it 3 or 4 times. I've been there. Got my parts from Detroit Axle. Highly recommended. I think that's all for today. Brand new rack and pinion is on. See that? 4 bolts. Had to replace the sensor. And I had to put this little hose line connector on to connect the hose. And then there's another line I have to connect once it's still connected to the car right there laying on the ground. See that? That also has an O-ring on it you want to replace so it don't leak. And that goes right there. I had to pop this out. A roll pin is the proper name for it, as I was informed. I just had to pop it back in there, see that? Connecting the steering shaft, which will go back underneath the dash, where I had to put it back together underneath there as well. Then the bolts I just took out. I still got to replace these control arms. And it's cheaper just to replace the whole control arm than it is to pop out the ball joint and each bushing. Same over there. I mean, I charge you 20 bucks just to pop out that ball joint, and probably another 20 for each bushing plus the part. See that? So instead of spending 60 bucks and plenty of more work, you just buy a control arm for 40 bucks and $20 to replace it. Psst. Easy peasy. The main reason I don't record my work is because I'll be cussing up a storm and it's just too much editing when I bust my knuckles and slice myself open because of my lack of power tools. Anywho,